All right, as you can see, the car is on all fours, and tomorrow is the first Northeast SCDRA race of the year at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. So that is what we're doing in this episode, if everything works out. So she's on all fours. As you can see, I cleaned her up a little bit, did some touch-up paint, threw some new graphics on in a few spots. It's as good as it's going to get. The only issue we have right now is the shifter is a little bit sticky. A little side-to-side sticky. It's kind of hard to find second, and it might be interesting. That transmission, sat for a long time. It wasn't in the car. I do oil up the mechanisms usually before I put them on the shelf outside, and they are covered. They're under a tarp, so they're not out in the elements, but they're also not in temperature-controlled area. So the penetrating oil, all the mechanism. Today, when I found out it was sticky, sprayed some down into the tubes or the shifter cables and whatnot, but most likely it's the mechanism on the transmission. So hopefully that penetrating oil gets down in there, vibrations, whatnot. Hopefully by the time we get to the heat race, it's moving around the way it should, because we are most likely going to have to do a 2-3 shift from second gear up to third gear on the starts. Once we're moving, it'll be third gear, so we might have some issues there. Once we're in third, we'll be good, but I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I think we're good. Other than that, I think we're in good shape. I've got an extra air cleaner already cleaned, ready to go. We've got some spare tires all stacked up here that we're going to take with us. I'll put most of them in the car probably. Curtis is not having very good luck. They literally had to put his car together. It didn't have a motor tranny in it, so they've been fighting that for a couple days. Maybe we'll do a little story time when we get to the track tomorrow, or maybe in the truck. I don't know, we'll see. We'll have him tell you guys exactly what he had going down, but not fun. They pulled the car out of the shop just recently to get ready to load it up and fried an ECM. So I've got a stock ECM here in a bag. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a wiring check before we put that ECM in and find out, if he missed a ground or something, putting the motor in or what happened. But they're winching the car up onto the trailer so that they can come here and we can load mine up. By the time that happens, though, it is almost definitely going to be dark out because they're down at Andy's, and it's a little over an hour from Andy's house to here. So big shout out to Tyler Pistorius. Thanks for letting us use your trailer. Big shout out to Ian's grandfather, who's actually letting us use his truck. We were going to take Kurt's truck, but Ian's grandfather, I guess, volunteered his truck. So brand new Chevy. So big thank you to both of them for their support on this little trip we're taking. Hopefully we can get Curtis's car figured out, and hopefully we don't have any problems with my girl. Hopefully, usually she's pretty good to me. So, fingers crossed, thumbs up. Let's go. Mother Nature, please. As of right now, it looks good down there. So, yeah. Let's go do some racing. The GoPro's charged up. Let's go. This early in the season is kind of hard sometimes getting a race in. So, I'm itching for some seat time. Let's do this thing. 6:30 a.m. We just hit the Pennsylvania border. Locked and loaded. On our way to PPMS. Let's go. All right, so we made it to PPMS. They used my race pass to pull your pins or whatever. Turns out we didn't really need those. Not the point. Anyways, pretty much right off the bat, we had issues with Curtis's car. We went to go to hot laps and it got dead pedal. A lot of things can cause that. It's kind of like limp mode basically. Sometimes it's the pedal, sometimes it's throttle body, sometimes it's something completely different. This ends up being the case with Curtis's car. He doesn't make hot laps. He doesn't make qualifying. And what we ended up finding out was it was a bad crank position sensor. Once we got that fixed, the car would run, no more dead pedal. So he made his heat, but he had to start dead last. Anyways, I qualified 8th fastest out of, I think we had 53 cars. So pretty good, not too bad, having never been on that racetrack before and having the wrong tire size. I had on the smallest tires I brought with me, and we were still about 600-700 RPM too low. Not quite in the happy place. But so we had to work with what we had. The track conditions were not great. You're about to see that in the heat race. Yeah, it was dusty, it was dry, it was extremely hard and extremely abrasive. But with the qualifying time, that put us outside pole heat 4. With the gearing issue, having the wrong size tire, we were a little bit doggy on the start, so you're going to see me pretty quickly lose second place and fall into third. And in human nature, I started to overdrive the car to try to make up the difference, and it made it worse. About lap 2 or 3, you're going to see me go into turn 3 or 4, and you can see it. I drive in too hot, the car slides sideways, and when the car settles itself back out, it almost instantly causes the car to start to push. And you can just watch the 42 car of Jeff Huber drive away from me off the corner. And I try to push harder, and it just keeps getting worse. The dust doesn't help, because visibility in turn 1 and 2 with the sun and the dust was terrible. Could not see anything. You're just hoping and praying the guy in front of you doesn't slow down or crash or spin or something, because you can't see. We wound up third. Because of the car count, there were 6 heats, and they took top 2 to go to the feature. So third place finish, we had to go to the B main. Being third place in the 4th heat put us on the pole of the second B main. There was 2 B mains. Curtis started dead last in heat 6. He managed to work his way up to 4th, which actually wound up putting him in the same B main as me. So I have a little bit of snippet from Kurt's GoPro I will show after my GoPro. He had a little close encounter during his heat race. But here you go. Enjoy the heat race. the heat race, I watched the GoPro footage and pretty quickly realized what I did and knew I had to make a driver adjustment, but that push was still more than my driver adjustment was really going to fix. We had center off, we needed to make some adjustments. Nothing major. I didn't need to make any major adjustments, but there was just a couple things. So first thing I did was I added a little bit of toe to the car. Tipping that left front out a little bit, in the corner will help pull the car and rotate. So I only added like 1/8 of an inch. We went up to, I think, just a little bit over 1/4 of an inch of toe out. I think we were at about 1/8. On the bigger tracks, usually you don't need a lot, but I needed some help turning. So we did that, and then between hot laps, qualifying in the heat, I pretty much smoked the right front tire that was on the car. Maybe not completely smoked it, but took all of the edges off, the outside of the tire. That's what helps you turn. So I took the spare that I had, which was almost a brand new Douglas, and I threw it on the car. You're not gonna be able to see the video, but it's completely smoked. I might be able to flip it and get a few more laps out of it, but it's pretty well whooped. We went out for the B main, which I'm gonna show you now. We started on the pole and pretty quickly gapped the field. By the time we got to the finish line, we had more than 10 car lengths on the rest of the field. Curtis started near the back. He managed to make it back up to 4th again. So he made it into the feature. I made it into the feature. They took top 5 from each B main. Finishing first in the second B main put me in the 14th starting position for the feature. So near the end of the B main, I actually slowed down quite a bit. You might be able to tell in the video. Don was in turn 1 telling me how much of a gap I had. And once I saw him, I slowed way down to try to save this front tire because I knew it was the only one I had left and I needed something decent for the feature. So it might seem like I slowed down. Now, my adjustment in driving and that small adjustment in toe, I shaved almost an entire second off my lap time. So a lot of times out there, it's you. This time it was me, but a lot of times it's you that is slowing you down. Especially on a hard, dry racetrack, you usually have to slow down to go faster. But that's just something. was probably a little boring because I was kind of out front by myself, just, you know, ripping it. But before we go to the feature, a couple weeks ago, I talked a little bit about mental health. I just want to touch on it real quick. This book is called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I have read this book more than 15 times. I have owned more than 10 copies of this book because I always tend to give them away. I just bought this one used on Amazon. It was like $5. So go get yourself a copy. A quick story time. In my early 20s, about 2 decades ago, I just dated myself. Yes, I'm that old. A woman gave me this book when I was in a rough spot. Probably the roughest spot I've ever had. She gave me this book. Not this specific one, but a copy, her copy. And I read it, and it really changed my perspective on things. It's a quick read. It's not very big. If you sit down, you can read this in a couple hours at work. Not at work. Don't do it at work. But in a couple hours. If you can carve out a couple hours, you can read this in a day. Or, I mean, you can see I've been reading it. I don't know, beginning of chapter 3 or something right now. And I've been just picking at it a little bit a day, you know, sit down for a couple minutes and I just read a little bit a day. But I've also read it like 15 times. But it gives you a good perspective, a little change of how you see things, how you view things a little bit. I'll tell you the first 2 agreements here. The first one is be impeccable with your word. Basically, tell the truth. Just tell people how you feel. Tell them, you know, be impeccable. Be clear with what you want and how you project out, you know. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is probably, in my opinion, the most important one, and that is don't take anything personally. It's easier said than done. This is one of my problems. I tend to read into things a little bit too much. And don't take anything personally. Basically what they are saying is everyone has their own shit going on, okay? We all got trauma, and we all got daily drama. So if someone is being rude to you or mean to you or doing something to you that you do not like, don't take it personally, because most likely it is something going on within them. When we are in negative places, and we all do it, we tend to project that negativity outward. We don't want it. We're trying to get rid of it, or you know, we want someone to suffer with us. I don't know. By not taking it personally, you are basically putting up a shield and blocking that negative energy that they're trying to send out. You don't want that shit, and you don't take it personally, boom, you knock it down. If you're in a good mental space, sure, you can address it with them, you know, ask them what's going on. You know, obviously they got something going on personally, but only do that if you are at the time in a good mental space yourself. But like anything good, positivity takes work. It's like physical health, going to the gym. Most of us would rather sit on the couch and eat junk food because that is easier. Negativity is easy. It's easy to fall into negativity. Being positive takes work, for sure. But you know, physical health, you got to go work out. Mental health, you got to work on that too. So this will help. Yeah, get yourself a copy. The feature is coming up now. The feature race. We start 14th. The track is significantly better. We got multiple lanes of racing. We got a lot of passing, a lot of door-to-door, a lot of action. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Just real quick, I'd like to thank Rob Williams for putting that together. He runs the SCDRA Northeast series. He sets all this stuff up for us to get out there and, you know, race for big money and put shows on. So big thank you to Rob. Thank you to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. The track conditions were not good. You addressed it. You guys, you know, I don't have to talk to you guys about it, but you kept at it all day working on it. And by feature time, you gave us a great track to race on. So much appreciated. I know there was a little issue early on in the day with a little bit of disrespect for the class. But in the end, that got doled out and it turned into a great show. So thank you guys for, you know, keeping up on track prep, giving us a good racing surface, and for allowing us to be there and be a part of the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're back in race season. I enjoyed having some seat time. I feel pretty good. And next week, we're not racing. Our next race is April 13th at Outlaw, which happens to be another SCDRA Northeast show. So no racing until then. We got to swap the transmission back out, but we'll cover that. Next video, we'll be back on the Batmobile. Yeah. Or I'm going to call it Nightwing from now on. We're going to be back on Nightwing. Until next time, keep it creative and happy building.